Hello guys, my name is Michael and welcome to a new GActionGroup tutorial. Until now we saw how we can deal with these functions. In the last video we saw how we can query an action. Moreover, we saw with the help of the query action function, which I was creating it, how one could basically retrieve information from a function. If I compile it and run it from the last video, you will notice that with the help of that function we saw that the select function was found, it is enabled, the parameter type is string, the state type is also a string, and we saw that the state it is open. Now the next function which I'm going to introduce you today, it is a function which basically let us to change programmatically the state of an action. So for this, the function which I'm going to introduce you, sorry, it is called GActionGroup change action state. Basically, with the help of this function, it says request for the state of the name action within action group to be changed to the value. So if the action must be stateful and the value must be of the correct type. So in other words, GActionGroup get action state type and so on. It should be checked. We already know about this information. And also the GActionGroup get action state hint. We know about this one as well. Anyway, the three arguments or parameter are action group, the name of the action to request a change on, and the new state. So basically this is what we are going to do. So I'm going to change this function call with the new one which we are going to create it right now. So I'm going to say change action state, and for this we need the action and the state. Now we are targeting the open and now we are going to change it to new. For this, basically the next move which we need to do is to create this function. So I'm going to move on here. Let me close this part. So void change state action, and here we need three things. Let me format a little bit this one. So the first one is the application, the second is the action name, and the last one which we needed is the state value. Now let us create a function. For this we need basically to call this function, and the three things which we need is the action group. It was the first argument, the second one is the name of the action, and the last one is the state. So the name of the action is the action name, and the value, it is the value which we are going to create it right now. G variant value, and the value it will be created with G variant new string, not like that, new string, G variant new string, and here of course we are going to pass the state value, this one right here. Now if everything it's known, it's okay. Let's see. Okay, state value, action name, and application. I have a problem, so I need to check it fast. Let's see what I say. Okay, I see it. I have two commas right here, you see, one and another one. Now let me compile it and run it and see what happens. The state was changed to new. So short brief of this call, it is that, as you already noticed, with the help of this function we are passing the application and the name of the action and the name of the state or the value which we need to change it with the G variant new string. We are creating a new value, and that value we are putting basically inside the GActionGroup change action state. Now there is something very important which you need to understand if you don't know already, which I didn't talk. It is the last part right here. If the value G variant is floating, then it is consumed. What exactly means? What? Let me show you something. If you try now to variant on ref the value, you will get an error. Let me show you. It says ref assertion is not more than 0, which means it's true because it is a floating. Now how do you know? If we now go and check the G variant new string function, problem, I'm going to create a some well, you need to understand in reference to a new string. So the transfer is not the data after the code is done. When you work with this function, you actually need to free it. It returns a faulty reference. GActionGroup change action state says at the last part, if the value of the G variant is floating, then it is consumed. So in other words, we have a floating, we are passing a floating, which means we are safe. So moreover, in case like this, you are free to work with G variant new string inside the GActionGroup change action state function, which will be safe because it will be consumed the way how the documentation says. Now let me mark this function as done, because we need to concentrate us on the next function which I'm going to introduce you. And the next function which I'm going to introduce you is the first one right here, GActionGroup list actions. Now with the help of this function, basically we can find how many actions do we have for our application. For this says list actions contained within action group. So the color is responsible for freeing list with G string free v when it is no longer required. Basically this is a function which helps you to free things like gchar double pointer right here. So you see, you get information about exactly how you need to work with this function. If you check the return type, says a null terminator of the names of the action in the group, it will return. In other words, you have a transfer full. You see right here, if you hover over it, it says free the data after the code is done. So basically you need to free this one. For this you need to call this function. Anyway, let us see how it's working. I'm going now to create a new function which it will be called list actions. To list actions, basically we don't need states or actions, we need only the application. Now let us safely create this function, void list actions, and of course what do we need here? We need only the application, this one right here. That's it. Now let us create this function. It is quite easy to work with this one because we already got information. So we need to declare gchar double pointer, and I'm going to call it actions. And now the actions, basically you can point it to this function, and its argument will be of course GActionGroup, and here it will be the application. And now because we have them, we can work with a for loop or whatever with a while loop I0, and then we say while, and here actions I, if they are not null, which means it should not be, then G print I don't know, let's say %d minus %s, new line character, comma, I and actions I, and of course, because we are working with the while loop, we need to update the I. And now the last thing which we need in this function, it is what this documentation says. We need to call this function. I need to take this call, just a second. Well, I had to take this call. It's quite happened, you already noticed, but what the heck. If you need it, you need it. Anyway, like I said, the action group list action, the G action group list actions basically tells you everything you need to know, which means you are responsible for freeing that list. So in other words, we need to call this function, which is quite easy. Copy, paste it here, and of course actions. Now, if everything is fine, and I think so, let's see, we declare a double pointer char. gchar, we pointed to these functions where we are passing the application, the group from which we are interested in this case, the application, and of course we are declaring a variable of the int variable, and then with the help of while loop we are printing basically the information which we get it. Once that we are done with it, we are basically free. Anyway, this function does all the job. Even if something goes wrong and returns null, this function handles the null as well, so you don't need to check for null. Now let me see, and we have a good result. As you can see, the state was changed to new. Oh, I didn't show you that it is indeed, you see, it is indeed changed to new, and the 4 actions found are close, select, or new, and open. As you can see, all of them are right here, and they got printed with the help of a list action function which we are creating in. Now I'm going to stop now, and let me mark first of all this function as done. And now how many do we have? Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 functions. We have 5 more. That being said, thank you guys for watching. If you like it, please subscribe, share with your friends and neighbors, and until next time, see you guys.